My name is Liv Gjestvang. I am the Chief Information Officer at Denison, and I realized when I saw this slide on the screen, that's a very large picture of my head. So look here, not there. I would have shrunk that if I'd paid a little more attention. So we're very excited to welcome you to the Fall Faculty Showcase on Teaching with Technology. This is a new event for Denison, and after a number of really delightful and engaging conversations with faculty at Strawberries on the Lawn about your love for our cybersecurity training programs, I thought it might be, Joe Rezek, are you here? I thought it might be nice to talk to you about something a little bit different than cybersecurity training, and we'll leave that to Jared. This is just a friendly shout out that is actually due early next month. But we'll leave that and move on to really thinking about, in addition to kind of the core infrastructure and operational work that IT does, we also are very committed to partnering with all of you as faculty and with students to really ensure that the college's mission is being met around teaching and learning. It's actually the world that I came from. My career prior to coming to Denison was focused very heavily on academic technology, and there's clearly so much exciting work happening here at Denison that we wanted to just take some time to let you all hear from each other about some of the work you're doing in this space. So I want to take just a minute and thank the educational technology team, which includes Donnie, Kelly Van Washenova, who's Kelly? Kelly. Oh, nice, with Figgy. Lori Kumler, and Lori Robbins, who's in the back, and Trent. Awesome. And then Yousef, yeah, thank you. They've been hard at work, and Yousef, who was instrumental in getting all the technology set up in the room, so thank you, Yousef, as well. All right, so I'm going to explain how this is going to go. I'm going to step away in just a minute. We're going to have Kim Coplin is going to say a few words, and then we're going to hand straight over to faculty who are demonstrating some technology they've been working with. We have a really interesting collection of faculty across disciplines with different kinds of technology that they're using. So they're going to come and give just a very quick overview of what they've been doing. We'll do those in pretty rapid succession. Feel free to grab food or drinks while that's happening, and then we will wrap the presentation part up and let you spend time talking a little bit more in depth and looking at some examples of what your colleagues have been doing at the tables around the room. So we do also have one presentation that Lori Robbins will be doing right up front. She has found a really great tool that allows you to take assessment questions and answers and then upload that into Canvas, and it will auto-generate an assessment, a quiz for you in Canvas. So if people are interested in seeing that, she'll demo that up front. And then I just want to mention, because we're going to hear about a range of technologies, we will be doing ongoing work in these spaces over the course of the year. So many of you, I think, have participated in conversations around artificial intelligence. We're partnering with the Provost's office to offer another I think that we're looking at some day-long programming happening in January prior to the start of the term. So look for that. We are also, I've been working closely with Jeff and the Provost's office around affordability, affordable content. So we'll be doing a presentation in November at the chairs meetings, and then we'll offer a pilot this spring to support some faculty who want to look at alternative content to reduce the cost of their courses. And we are also doing, have done a bunch of work in Canvas about ways to try to help make your work as faculty a little bit easier and faster, and to help create more engaging models for students that are quick and easy. So we're going to offer to come to departmental meetings and quickly, like in the course of 10 minutes, go through a couple of those for departments that would like to learn. So all of that is coming, but for now I want to turn it over to Kim.
Thanks, Liv, and thanks everybody for coming. It's great to see such a tremendous turnout. I'm especially looking forward to hearing from all the presenters about the things that you're doing. Oh, that's a really large picture too. Yeah, didn't know you were going to show that. So just wanted to remind, especially the faculty in the room, that kind of the work that you're showcasing here today really helps illustrate two of the strategic priorities for the academic division. We're just about continuing professional development for faculty, thinking about that in areas of your teaching and your scholarship, and I think this is just an opportunity to demonstrate how faculty continue to think and develop in that pedagogical space. We also are looking very carefully as we're thinking about strategic priorities about making sure that departments and programs and faculty are properly resourced. And so I think as we go into this technology space, and Liv mentioned several ways that the provost office and IT are just partnering, but it's really thinking about how do we make sure that we've got the right resources for faculty as they go about their work in the classroom, your research, your campus engagement in the campus community. I remember events like this in the past, even down in the lobby of Burton Morgan. Anybody else who's been here as long as I have might remember some things. I do not remember wine and food, so thank you for bringing that to the table. So I'm looking forward to hearing from folks. I'm also looking forward to just the ongoing partnership with IT. Liv mentioned several of the places where we are partnering in the AI space. Greatly appreciate Jeff's work and Liv's work to kind of lead a steering committee in thinking about affordable content, which, as Liv said, will be at an upcoming chairs meeting. And we're also collaborating between IT and the provost office, just as we think about the renovation of Doan to possibly become a real data visualization and data reasoning space. So I could see an event like this in the future happening in Doan Hall, where we would not have to bring in as much technology to outfit the space. So that's, I think, a real future goal for all of us. So thank you all for coming. Thank you to the presenters. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Jeff Kurtz, who is up first.
Hi, everybody. Good afternoon. My name is Jeff. I don't work in the provost's office. I actually teach in the Department of Communication, and I have the great fortune this semester to team teach a class with Doug Spielis from Environmental Studies. We're doing a Denison seminar. Our focus is wilderness. And Doug really deserves the credit for this, so I am just the messenger. But what he imagined and what we collaborated on together was to use generative AI. That's the Adobe Firefly program. And what we wanted to do with this program was to invite students to see wilderness differently. And so the invitation that we extended to our students was to use Firefly and to use text to name things that relate to wilderness, to plug that text into a search box, and then to create images of different kinds. We complemented this assignment by giving our students some design principles. So as they thought about different concepts related to wilderness, they also could think about different concepts related to design. And the goal was to have them generate various kinds of images, moving from some that might be pastoral in their dimensions to some that might be more dystopian in their keys. This was helpful in a couple of different ways. Foremost, it invited students to work collaboratively. So they worked in groups of 2 or 3 to kind of generate text and then subsequently to develop images. And they were able to kind of talk about that work that they did. And then in a whole class context, we were able to kind of reflect on how we see wilderness, how we understand wilderness, and the different ways that technology can enhance or complement that effort to see clearly. So again, where this was concerned and where it worked well, all of the credit goes to Doug. I will say 2 things about it. This is free through Denison's generous suite, so faculty have access to it. Our students really liked working with it. My understanding is that students, if they use it on their account, hit a paywall. So that was a little bit of a source of frustration, but IT and friends in ETS are working through that, so we're super grateful. And then the other thing that I would say is that I think students were surprised by what AI was able to do. So that's been an ongoing source of conversation as we kind of think about the driving engine of the course and what we're trying to learn together. So with that as way of introduction, I'll turn things over to Doug. So Doug Swift, you're up.
Hey, everybody. I'm Doug Swift in the journalism program, and I'm the multimedia guy. So I work a lot with a program called Shorthand. Shorthand was developed for narrative journalism, but it's extremely flexible, permeable, and can be used, well, I mean, narrative journalism is all those things, right? It can report on science subjects, social science subjects, and humanitarian subjects. So I have found that it's really adaptable to a liberal arts environment. It also is free. We have free for use in the classroom, and we also pay for a license because we publish a lot of stories in the Reporting Project, which is your go-to news source, of course. You're keeping an eye on the Reporting Project for Licking County news. So what we have is a screenshot over there on the left. You'll have to come to my station to see the real power of this program, because they're scrollies. You have to scroll on down, and what's fantastic is as you scroll, images pop up. You can embed audio stories, you can embed mini docs, you can embed videos that just sort of autoplay. It's really, really dynamic. It's visually powerful. It's incredibly easy to use, so you do not have to set aside class time to learn how to code or anything like that. You can incorporate data and information into the narrative format, right? And that can be as much as like actually taking programs that take data sets and put them into charts, and that can be a really powerful tool. And just take basic graphs and maps. And the reason I use this story, this is a story that I put together just about the very recent celebration of the Newark Earthworks celebrating being designated as a World Heritage Site. So I was there, and I wasn't sure how to tell that story. There were so many informational stories published by the New York Times. Slate Magazine did a beautiful long-form piece. I really wanted to do something different than what everybody else was doing. I knew I wanted to do something that would be more immersive. I put a microphone on Brad Lepper as he led the first tour that he would lead around the Octagon site, and just recorded him. And he had a certain kind of energy about him, and he also had one of the largest groups that he had maybe ever, I don't know. And it was really compelling to me just to hear him tell the story in that format. So I just thought, I can just like take this, and reprint it, and also took some photographs to complement that. And then I went back and I found some photographs and some charts that complemented what he was saying. And I think it's an immersive document and an immersive source that is different than anything else that's been published recently about this event. We have a variety of examples, again, that I can show over there on the station. The last point that I would make is this was something that was really tipped off to during COVID, and it is that students do best when they are self-motivated. And this is a program that really allows them to put a project together that looks sensational, and they just get really excited to do it. So I don't have the list. I'm sorry, I don't know who's next. Rebecca is next. Here you go. There you go, Rebecca.
And then that after me. Okay, so I have done quite a few different types of little mini projects in my classes. I've used timeline TS, story mapping, and things like that. But the thing that Kelly asked me, this way? Okay, thanks. Oh, I see why. Hello, camera. But the thing that Kelly Van Westenova asked me to speak about, which was something that she and I did together with my W101 class, was this project called Inky, which is a sort of creating, I don't know if you guys are all similar age to me or around there, choose your own adventure stories that we used to be able to read as a kid, which were really fun. Unknown fun fact about me, in 8th grade, I won honorable mention in the state of California's Choose Your Own Adventure writing contest. Yes, so I have a long history with these stories. But this was for my W101, and the emphasis of my W101, which is on ancient romance novels, and not romance in terms of Fabio, bodice rippers, but rather ancient adventure stories. Think Princess Bride, think Baron von Munchausen, think Don Quixote. These are the predecessors to those types of stories. And so it is an adventure, so a choose your own adventure text is really fun. But my course emphasizes revision, revision, and revision. So when we got to the final project, my students had written 3 or 4 revisions of 2 different papers, and I didn't have a way to structure revision into the final. So I decided, let's look at something else. I want to figure out what they've learned about the genre and the tropes of the genre, and then also whether they had come to understand how to structure things. There's actually very little breathing space between the narratives we create in fiction and the narratives we create as scholars. And so understanding how to structure an argument to tell a story is just as important as being able to tell a fictional story or another type of narrative. So what this does is that, and it requires very little HTML coding for them to learn, just a little bit. Kelly comes in and meets with you. They download the app, and then she sort of teaches them how to structure the folders and things. But I give them, in the back of the collection of all the ancient Greek novels are a series of fragments. We just have pieces of papyrus that have, a few paragraphs or even a few sentences. And they have to pick one, and then they have to use that fragment to build a story around that demonstrates their knowledge of the genre. So what they then have to do is they have to create a series of nodes that require a choice on the part of the reader that will take them down a different path. So they have to think through, okay, so how do I get to a conflict point? How do I then, what are the offerings that I give them for choosing how to resolve those conflicts? And then what's the conclusion, or what's the outcome of the choices that they make? So it's also a life lesson, like learning how to make choices and deal with the consequences. And then we require them to go through and find images to illustrate the story in different types. So it really helps them understand the logic of narrative and the logic of an argument, and how to actually come to conclusions, which students often struggle with. The fragments that they get, they can use them either as the beginning of the story, the middle of the story, or the end. They have to just position it somewhere. So it makes them also think about narrative and how it works and how we tell stories. So they had a lot of fun doing it. I've got a bunch of demos from the class over at my station, so you can come and do some choose your own adventure story if you are interested. All right, thank you. And now for Nestor and May.
Thanks, Rebecca. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Nestor Matthews. I teach in psychology, and I'm delighted to be working with May and others talking with you about open educational resources. I'm wondering if we can get a show of hands. How many of us are familiar with open educational resources? Okay, I'm seeing several hands go up and several that are not up. So I'm going to try in our time here to talk a little bit about the what, why, and how of our open educational resources. So let me begin by offering to you a definition that comes from the OER organization itself. Open educational resources are teaching, learning, and research materials that reside in the public domain or have been released under an open license that permits their free use and repurposing by others. So that's a definition. And we have these 5 R's that we typically use when we're talking about what that license does for us, the kinds of things that it would allow you as an instructor to do, to remix or to reuse. The students are allowed to make copies and so forth. Some other things that you might know about open educational resources: they are almost always free or very low cost. So this is a tremendous savings that we can pass along to our students. They can be either in digital form, or as May will show you at our table in just a moment, they can be in paper form. There's May showing some papers, copies that she's printed using OER. So that's a thumbnail of what that is. Why would you want to use this? Provost Coplin spoke just a few moments ago about some of our strategic initiatives. And what we have over here are some of our institutional priorities that you can see from our website. And in all cases, at least the first 3, you can see that helping our students reduce their costs of going to school. All of this aligns in a perfect way with OER, just keeping the costs way, way down. Our friend Jeremy King from Sustainability would also tell us that if we can use OER, we can probably reduce the total amount of greenhouse gases that we're emitting to carry those very heavy textbooks all across the country and get them shipped to our bookstore. So lots of nice ways to make connections between OER and DEI and sustainability. Over here, we have something about the how. So we're answering questions of what OER is, why you would want to do it. It aligns with our priorities. And then finally, how you might get into this. And there are maybe a few different points of entry that you can see up here. So May will have a demonstration of how she's adopted an OER book, and she happens to use a print copy for her classes. Then you can have adaptation. So there are many sites. One is called Noba Books, and there are different modules that you can mix and remix together and adapt them to suit your particular course needs. And then finally, you can go in on the deep end and try to actually create some of these yourself, as I've been doing over the past couple of years. So depending on how far you want to go into this, these are some different points of entry. We had an earlier speaker mention the exciting news that we had from UNESCO in our World Heritage Site. I'll close with this, and that is UNESCO back in 2019 got behind the idea of open educational resources to try to make education free and affordable across the world. So we're hoping to do our part here at Denison. And I think it's time for me now to turn things over to Hoda and to her student speaker.
Thank you, Nestor. So my name is Hoda Yousef. I am a professor in the history department.
And I'm Weston Wharton. I am a sophomore, and I participated in 2 CODEX projects this summer.
So our thing is a little different. We're not talking about a particular technology. We're actually talking about a forum that might help you work on a particular technology. And that forum is the CODEX, which stands for Collaborative for Digital Engagement and Experiences. Okay, right, which is sponsored by the Ohio 5. I'm very happy to shill for them, mostly because I've been through 3 of their summers, and it's a very great opportunity, mostly because they give you the time and space to think about a digital project. It can be within the class structure or outside of the class structure. And the idea that I really appreciate from the CODEX experience is one of the things. The first one is that they give you a chance to think about your learning objectives and how digital technologies might be able to help you achieve those, right? So it's not technology for the sake of technology, rather it's what is your objective, what are you trying to do pedagogically, and what are the types of tools or types of projects that you might design around that. The second thing that I really appreciated is why Weston's here.
Yes, the student perspective is really cool. So I was, last summer, I participated in 2. They're 1-week-long kind of team huddles, I would say, and it's like, let's get together a student educational technologist, and sometimes some people from the library, like this summer on the Denison history one. I worked with Dr. Lauren Reza and Sasha Kim and Debbie Andreas in the library, and I made the center image is a picture of, we used a program called Timeline.js. It's super easy. You just make a copy of a Google spreadsheet, input your information, and it makes a beautiful timeline that you can then click through. And then the other project I worked on was the nonlinear storytelling. We also used Inky, like Dr. Kennedy introduced, and that was with Fran and Lori Robbins, and Kelly as well, and we worked on that. And so that's an example of an Inky story. El León y el Conejo is in Spanish, the lion and the hare. And so that's an example, and we have that at the table. And then just finally, I thought just a really great, perspective of this whole experience is, like, as a student, it's a whole new appreciation for syllabi, right? It's like, I had no idea. Oh, it's like writing a syllabi, it takes time and like preparation and everything. It's like, okay, maybe, maybe I'll read the syllabi that I get now. So it's like, it was, and just, I also maybe want to go to graduate school, or, and I might be a TA teaching a beginning Spanish course or something, and so it's also just good experience there I can draw from for the future. So thank you.
Thank you.
And then Ron to talk about AI.
Hello, everybody. Francisco Lopez, Modern Languages. So I only have 1 or 2 minutes, so I decided to write it because I tend to talk a lot. So next semester, I will teach a creative writing course in Spanish, incorporating chatbots, focusing on digital storytelling and nonlinear narratives. Chatbots are computer programs that mimic conversation. However, they have evolved into superbots through language models. They can advise students academically, facilitate shared narrative, or quiz students to prepare them for their next class. For bot creation, we have some applications, right? POW AI and BotPress are useful tools. POW AI is a hub where users can access different languages models and create chatbots with limited functionality. On the other hand, BotPress is a powerful framework for developing bots. After watching various tutorials, I was able to create DeniBot, a visual academic advisor sourcing knowledge from the Denison course catalog. So at some point, I felt like Dr. Frankenstein when he created the monster is alive. So another platform that we will use from the Denison in my course is Silly Tavern, allowing for personalized chatbots, enabling user interaction and narrative creation. My course will utilize these tools and others like Inky for interactive adaptive storytelling, aiming for continuous writing improvement, digital literacy enhancement, and creativity development, all of this in Spanish. And if you want to know more about the Denibot or the Silly Tavern tool, just come to my station. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Can we just one more round of applause for all of our faculty and student presenters? All right, I know you all, this is a busy time of the semester and everybody has a lot going on. So I want to thank you all again for being here. And please, the other thing I'll add is that the educational technology team and all of ITS, the provost's office, the libraries, we're here to help support you in your teaching and students in your learning. So if you have questions or would like to learn more about any of what you've heard or seen, please let us know. And now we're going to release you to your colleagues. Please feel free to stop by tables and they'll talk a little bit more about what they're doing, and also to wine and food. All right, thank you again so much.